This is the Maida Initiative, conversation without compromise.
As a lawyer, I was fighting against the persecution, kind of,
True.
or doing the advocacy. Anytime they raided, for example, my church, I was like opposing that and saying, quoting the law and quoting the Constitution and saying that they're breaking my rights. And they saw it like, I was going against the system.
Yeah.
And eventually, as they raided more and more, I thought that I was maybe young, naive at that time, believing that the rule of law, which is written in the Constitution and should work. But they were saying, I remember one time I met a second person in the KGB. He said, these written laws is for international communities.
Exactly. We practice something else.
We have a president say, and whatever he says, we'll do. And he said, if he tells us to kill you, we'll kill you. Just we're waiting the order, he said. That's why you're alive and you're still talking to me like this. And I, kind of wanted to believe, but at the same time, as a lawyer, which was, we were taught that rule of law, but then the persecution intensified as we continued. We didn't listen to their orders. They twice came and kicked us out from our apartment. One time they came and arrested me, and I had 2 children at that time, 5, 6 years old. They threw all our stuff into streets and took our apartment, confiscated it, and they imprisoned me. And then later they ordered me to leave the capital city and go to my village. But each time they sent me by on the train, they arrest me first,
Right.
question, interrogation, and then they put me on the train. After 3-4 station, I, jumped out of the train and then came back to the capital city. And I'm leading again, and the church, and they raided again. They saw me, and they took my passport, and I had a registration for the capital city. In Turkmenistan, you have to have a registration for every city. Right. They banned me. They put living in the capital city without any legal framework. They just put the stamp, made the stamp annulling, canceling my registration, and they sent me again. But I returned back, and that continued more and more. But then they wrote a article about me and my wife, calling us criminals and this and that in a central newspaper, which is called Adalat. Adalat
Justice.
means justice,
Right, of course.
And I said, whoa, what is this? You saying it's Adalat?
Yeah.
But I went and found the author of that article.
Uh-huh.
And he was my one of the teachers at the university that I went. I found him. I said, do you know me? You wrote about me, but you never talked to me. But you wrote all this stuff that calling me, criminal, this and that, sectants and spy. But he said, hey, I was ordered by KGB to write this letter, and I can't, it's so bad. Yeah. And first time I was warned, I wanted to take this newspaper to the court. That was like me, my lawyer side of me.
Good luck, right?
I came to the a law office, and the lawyer said, "Do you know who's standing behind all this stuff that they're doing?" I said, "Yeah, I know." And he said, "Do you want that? You don't want your kids to be killed in a car crash,
Exactly.
or you don't want yourself or wife crossing the street and the car will
bad driver would hit you. I'm sorry for that."
He was giving this tips saying that this can happen,
right?
And that made me stop. Okay, this is not going to work with the legal ways and laws here, and this is a power, much bigger than what I can do. But then that they were right. I was traveling one. They couldn't stop me more and more. The raids, different things happened. We continued the ministry, spreading the gospel. First time when they arrested several times. They were just interrogations, trying to scare me by verbally and this and that. But then when they couldn't do that, we were traveling one time from capital city with my wife. My wife was pregnant, 2 children, and then 500 kilometers to my hometown. And then you go through the desert kind of area, wilderness. But they sent a semi-truck with an agent to stage the car crash. And actually they succeeded. They tried to hit my car. And to make, avoid that, I ended up off the road. And then my car started rolling over, several times. And I couldn't do anything. I was crying, just, Lord, help us, save us, and upside down several, 100, meters or so, ended up in the lower ditch. And I found my wife. She's in great pain. She was pregnant. And then my son is was injured in his head and rushing, the blood was rushing out. And we got out from the car. My wife was trying to put some towel or something on his head. And while we were trying to survive out of it, after a while, police came and they looked at us. They came just to check whether
to see if you're dead or not.
We're not, Right. But rather than sending an ambulance, they came and arrested me, took me away to the station, leaving my wife in pain, my son injured, not sending ambulance or help, anything. And I was torn apart. I couldn't stay because they were taking me away. Somehow, miracle of God, that blood stopped and running. And then my wife, she's a nurse and she was taking care of the children. They didn't have water, anything. And
what about
she was hurt. She's still pain.
Yeah.
And later, actually, we lost that baby because it was damaged.
See, Brother Shohrat, the same thing happened, not the accident. This is amazing. That when we are talking about the martyrs of the church, there are some martyrs that we know, that we have seen them martyred. But some martyrs, we don't know, like that baby of yours. Yeah. My wife and I have a martyr in our family too. At the second time when we were arrested, 2 months later, my wife had a miscarriage. We never point at anybody because who am I to not to forgive? Who am I? I have not given life to anybody. I am not taking life from anyone. But God has many martyrs that we don't know. And ironically, with the same story, and I want to hear the rest of this, but my father-in-law, when he was in Iran, he is a pastor, was former Muslim, a former clergy, and now was a pastor. He was a well-known world traveler as the head of the Bible Society. After over 30 times that he was arrested, then the last time they said to him simply that he said, you know what? In this town, there is a lot of horrible semi-truck drivers. And I can see one of those drivers going over your green sedan car, or maybe we come to your office and surprise, we found 2 kilograms of heroin in your office. And that was the same thing. I mean, they've been doing the same. The enemy has been doing the same thing over and over. And sadly, Iran, after revolution, has been heavily influenced by the Russian government. The communism is the same thing. The doctrine, the teaching, and all those things are still to this day ruling.